Today, we should talk about one of my favorite theme parks of all time. This park is Islands of Adventure. The park's theme is adventure and exploration of the park's 7 themed lands, or in other words, islands. Now, all the people that might be in the comments saying Disney World is better, shut up, like we all know you're capping yourself. Islands of Adventure mixes theming with rides perfectly, and in my opinion, even when Epic Universe comes out, I feel like this will still be the signature Universal Park. In some ways, it is kind of sad that the so-called marquee Universal Park next door, Universal Studios, does not hold a candle to this park. So before we hop on into the video, drop a like if you really like the video, and subscribe if you like content like this. Now, let's get on in. Now, as the port of entry is not a land I would spend most of my time in, I can definitely respect it for being one of the best entrance experiences of all time. There's a ton of detail hidden in this land and to be found, and I would definitely argue this is the best entrance experience I've ever done. I definitely prefer it over the Magic Kingdom Main Street, although Main Street is fantastic. As I don't really ever spend my time in this land, like I said before, I definitely think if there was a ride here, I could really appreciate it more. There's just so much detail here, and I think it's underrated in the fact that no one really gives it credit as a great entrance. I'd also like to note that I have never eaten here or done anything here, so I feel like Universal should really add a good restaurant option here to get more people into this entrance area, because other than that, all you have here is a couple of shops and maybe a dinner place that I've never been to, but I don't know, there's really nothing compelling me into this land, except for how great of an entrance it is. Perhaps the best thing about this island is its Mediterranean style and the iconic Adventure Begins bridge that you can cross under to get into the park. It's a really great way to kickstart your day, and honestly, I'm happy for this land, as I wish there was something to do. It's just a great entrance, guys. Marvel Superhero Island is probably one of the weirder islands. I don't know what you're saying. How is that? It's just Marvel characters. Well, it's not the Marvel characters that we really know today. Well, the characters stay the same. They're stylized after comic books, not the movies, which I think is definitely a downgrade for this, because I feel like the movies are more notable than the comics. And I know some of you will disagree with me, but which one made more of a cultural impact? Marvel Comics or Infinity War or Endgame? Obviously, someone think like Endgame. But for a theme park land, I honestly think this debatably could work better. I like the stylization of everything as you walk around, as it's not the most beautiful land, because duh. The rides here are low-key goated. This park is full of bangers such as Hulk and The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man being one of the most groundbreaking dark rides ever, and the Hulk being still one of the most intense roller coasters I've ever ridden. As Doctor Doom is kind of a lame drop tower, I still appreciate the theming in the queue. There's also Stormforce Acceleration, which is just a spinning flat ride, which I guess isn't bad, but is mainly targeted for kids. I've never eaten here on both my trips, so I really don't know what the food here is like, but I would guess this is not the best spot to eat in the park. Probably just burgers and fries, as most Universal food is. But as I said before, I really like the look and style of this land opposed to Disney's Marvel's areas, which are infinitely worse. And don't even talk to me about how they're better. Like, we all know they're worse, buddy. Stop lying to yourself again. As I don't know how much longer this land will be here because of Disney buying Marvel, the contract apparently runs out in 2029. This could hurt Universal pretty bad, as this is probably one of the most popular lands in the whole resort. Either way, this is a great land, and probably around my third favorite islands. This is what I believe to be the most underrated island in all of Islands of Adventure. I like its cartoonish nature, and honestly, I like the water rides here a lot. I've heard Dudley Do-Right is a great water ride despite me never experiencing it. The reason for this is because when I went, it was closed for refurbishment. But to this day, Popeyes is my favorite Rapids ride because it's just a really good Rapids ride that gets you absolutely drenched, and there's some pretty solid theming on it. As much as I love this island, I will admit it is becoming to get slightly outdated. And honestly, the dining options in this island are absolutely terrible. Yes, I know people aren't the biggest fans of this island, but just look at it. It's a really good cartoon-themed island. And honestly, SpongeBob doesn't really work here, guys. It just doesn't work as well as I think this does. Also, eventually SpongeBob runs into the same problems this land has with not being relevant enough. But once again, with two of the best water rides being here, and water rides being some of my favorite attractions, this is definitely a must-do for me every time I'm here. A lot of people often complain that this is just a land they walk through to get to the better lands, but I would harshly disagree. There's so much to do here, and if you get past the outdated theming, then honestly this is a perfect land. There's really no complaints here for me, and I would probably rank it as my fourth, or tied for third with Marvel Superhero Island. And now after riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is definitely an ultimate downgrade of Splash Mountain, I really want to get back to this land so that I can ride Dudley Do rides to see which one is truly better. But yes, this is a really good island that is criminally underrated by most park guests. And I would really like to get back here to ride Dudley Do rides sometime soon. Now, this is honestly one of my favorite theme park lands of all time, and it's seen a ton of change and growth throughout the most recent years. As I think the next change for this land is to focus on the aging Jurassic Park River Adventure, they've added a ton of stuff to this land, namely Velocicoaster and Skull Island. I still think the land is awesome, and even though Jurassic Park River Adventure is aging, it's still a really awesome boat ride, and Velocicoaster is my third favorite roller coaster of all time. On top of that, when we were going to Islands Adventure, I wasn't expecting to like Skull Island Ring of Kong as much as I did, because I didn't like the studio tour at Hollywood. There's just a lot of fun to be had in the Camp Jurassic areas and just touring the Discovery Center. I'm also one of the lucky few to be able to claim that they have Paradon flyers as one of their credits. This island's food options are not the best, although they're still better than Toon Lagoon and Marvel Superhero Island. I would definitely not prefer them over the next two islands we'll be talking about. As I wish this land had something like Jurassic World Adventure off in Beijing, but even despite this, there's still so much to do in the Jurassic Park area of the Islands of Adventure. One of the rumors I've heard circling around, and one of the things that people say they really want to see, is that this Jurassic Park area will be fully turned into Jurassic World and getting the Jurassic World overlay on their River Adventure. As I do think the Jurassic World overlay looks better than the Jurassic Park, I definitely don't want this, especially for the fact that Jurassic Park is just a better film in general. But this is for real such a great island that I can spend a decent amount of my time in, and will honestly probably be my second favorite island in all of Islands of Adventure. Now we get to talk about the land that changed it all. This land switched up the game plan for Universal. What this land used to be in was the Lost Continent. This used to be the Merlin Wood section of the Lost Continent, which contained dueling dragons and flying unicorn. But after Disney absolutely fumbled the Harry Potter rights after not agreeing with J.K. Rowling on how much creative decision-making they get to have, Universal took this land and, in my opinion, made, such a better land. Literally, Disney was just planning on making a land with dragons, well, meanwhile, Universal was planning on making a whole Hogsmeade land, and eventually expanded on it and made Diagon Alley in the other park. This land is really, truly influential, and has just a ton of little snippets and areas that you can go off to and just explore on your own. This really started the immersion that theme parks started really going for past 2010. Hagrid's is an incredible roller coaster, and Forbidden Journey is my favorite dark ride of all time. On top of that, they also turned Flying Unicorn into Flight of the Hippogriff, which is an alright family coaster. This land was one of the real reasons I wanted to come to Universal ever since I saw it. This land just looked so cool and looked miles ahead of what Disney could do. Also, being able to experience Hagrid's, which was one of my bucket list roller coasters, was an absolute delight for me, as it turned out to be a great roller coaster that combines theming and thrill perfectly. Seriously, that's easily the best storytelling roller coaster I've ever been on. And do I even need to talk about Forbidden Journey? Just watch my dark ride video if you really want to hear more about it, but it's an immersive dark ride that uses a really cool technology, and it's just an all-around great dark ride that mixes streams and live features perfectly. This land is pretty weird, as I really love the theming of this land, and honestly, if they put a ride here, I could spend a good chunk of my day in here. There's one problem. There's nothing to do. Ever since Poseidon's Fury closed, the only reason to come to this land is, Mythos, which I have eaten at, and is actually awesome. The detail in the rock work is really everything for me, especially the Mythos restaurant and the area of Poseidon's Fury. I also really like that talking fountain, as I feel like it's a nice touch, and I like that kids get to really talk to it, even if they're not really up to riding the rides. I've also heard Zelda might be coming to replace this land, and in my opinion, I definitely don't think that should happen. I don't love that we're just throwing IP into theme parks, and this is one of the most untouched areas of the park. I have a feeling, why not just throw another ride in here and really get people to come here? As I said earlier, before Harry Potter came to be, there was a Merlin Wood section. This was really the only reason to come to Lost Continent, as it had Dueling Dragons and Flying Unicorn. Dueling Dragons, which was a dueling inverted roller coaster, and Flying Unicorn, which was a family coaster. I also never got to experience Poseidon's Fury, although, according to others, it's just pretty mid. But I don't know, the potential for this land has always intrigued me, as I always feel like these types of lands without IP are really awesome. Being an original island, I feel like Universal could really spruce things up around here, especially since its architecture and art style is beautiful. Like, this might just be the best looking island at Islands of Adventure. And once like I said earlier, Mythos is really the best eating place in all of Islands of Adventure. I really do think there's so much untapped potential of this land, and really Universal's underutilizing it. But yes, at the moment, this is just an island I walk through to get to the better islands, such as Jurassic World and Harry Potter. As I don't agree with the Zelda opinion, I could definitely see it happening, as Nintendo properties are probably going to start flooding the Universal resorts, such as I'm betting Pokemon might take over the Simpsons area in the studios, although that one I wouldn't be too sad about. This area of the park really reminds me of something early Disney could have done, and I bet it has a ton of inspiration from that. It just faces the same problems this Port of Entry does, except this one isn't an entrance, it's a fully themed land. And yeah, I'm majorly sad about this island, but in some ways Zelda will at least have some attractions in it that will really draw me to the Zelda area. Definitely the most beautiful area of the park, as I keep saying. The only reason I don't know 100% if Zelda will come is what happens to Mythos, as it is pretty much one of the premium eating spots in all of Islands of Adventure. Overall, this is a really good island that has a really good theming, but just doesn't have enough attractions or enough to do to keep me in it. Seuss Landing, aka the greatest kiddie land of all time, is the next island we're talking about. Now, it has a world-class dark ride and a couple of flats, including the One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish spinner, which is honestly the best version of it, and the Carousel, which is just a carousel. It also has the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley, which is honestly probably better than People Mover. Also, the cool thing about this land is how every path and everything is not straight. They perfectly designed it so that everything isn't straight. Even the trees are crooked. Honestly, if I was a kid, I could really enjoy my time here. As people say, Disney's for the kids, Universal's for the older ones. I would definitely say that this is better than anything Disney has. And also, hot take incoming, the Cat in the Hat is honestly a fantastic dark ride for kids and has a lot of cartoonish nature to it. And yes, the animatronics are creepy and outdated. But if you look past that, it's actually a really great dark ride. In fact, I guess another hot take, I'd far take it over Peter Pan's First Flight at Disney World. This is one of the few kiddie lands in the world that actually has a ride that I'd actually be willing to go on. Most of them, I just go there for the credit and get out. Although I forget which channel this is from, I've also heard an idea of a Mount Crumpet roller coaster because the Grinch is insanely popular. And I have to say, this is one of the few ideas that I've heard recently that I truly agree with. Using Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, even though I don't love that ride, I can definitely see Mount Crumpet roller coaster actually fitting in this land perfectly, and giving something for younger thrill seekers other than Flight of the Hippogriff. It could be a step above Flight of the Hippogriff and slightly below Hagrid so that everyone can enjoy everything in this park. I really truly do think this is such a great idea, and I don't know why most people don't think of this. Also, once again, as I said earlier, this would be a good way to incorporate the Grinch into the parks, because whenever he comes around at Christmas, he gets like 120-minute waits just to meet him. That's like more than Velocicoaster gets. As I'm definitely not the target audience for this land, I still really enjoy it, and honestly would call it the best kids land of all time, and the only kids land that I would ever spend my time in. One of my biggest complaints about this land and overall Universal in total is that you can see other things that you don't want to see from certain points of the park. Like, for example, as you're just walking to Cat in the Hat, randomly Rip Ride Rockit is just right in front of you. I really feel like if it looked like Fantasia Land where you can't see anything but what they want you to, it would work better. As I seem to be praising this land, it's overall not my favorite land in the park. Duh, because I'm not a kid, but I do respect it for what it is. So this is definitely a great land. As you can see, Universal is a well-themed resort, and I don't get why people hate on them so much. Islands of Adventure is easily my favorite park, and easily the best themed park I've ever been to, especially the best theme park in Florida over Disney World, by a long shot. There's just so much to do, and there's so much to look at, and it's honestly just a great park. I I hope Universal keeps their trend up of making great additions throughout all their parks, such as Secret Life of Pets and Velocicoaster. As there are some changes that would make this park to make it overall perfect, this is definitely the closest you get to perfect in all Florida and the rest of the world. Here I am from editing saying that maybe Fantasialand looks better because that place looks bonkers. But yes, 7 Islands. Let's start with the Port of Entry, which is the best entrance I've ever been to. Then we move on to Marvel Superhero Island, which is a great adaptation of the Marvel comics and really has a bunch of A-list attractions. Then there's Toon Lagoon, which is quite the best adaptation of a cartoon land I've seen in quite a while. Then you move on to Jurassic Park's That Skull Island Ring of Kong, which is also a great adaptation of those movies, with Skull Island Ring of Kong always surprising me every time I ride it. Then there's Harry Potter Hogsmeade, which, do I even need to say anything? Great rides, great theming, and really changed the game for Universal. Then there's the Lost Continent, which is low-key a goated land without anything to do other than mythos. Then we go to the best kiddie land of all time in Seuss Landing, which is low-key a goated kiddie area with honestly an A-list dark ride that no one gives it credit for. As I know a lot of you guys probably think that Disney World is better, I definitely have to say, even from a pass holder perspective, this park is 5 times better than Disney World is. There's a lot of fun with the coasters alone, and even the dark rides I feel like are higher quality. Although I do think it is slightly sad that this park is the more A-ticket park, other than what should be the A-ticket park next door. I hope the Studios Park gets better additions later in the future, because honestly right now, they are struggling. There's still so much to do and so much to see in this park that I can't even describe it in a video. You just kind of have to get out there and do it yourself. I was really happy to be able to do this video because it definitely takes out a lot of my time. So if you really like the video, could you please subscribe and drop a like? Also, tell me in the comments if this first Disney and which is the best attraction at Universal in general. Now, I'd also like to shout out my friend D4Stroid, who also makes coaster content and should be coming out with a video today. He's really high quality, and I hope you guys enjoy him as much as you enjoy me. And who knows, we might be appearing in a vlog soon. Coming soon. Well, thanks for listening, and tell me in the comments below what you disagree or agree with for my video. And see you next time on Theme Park Kyle. Bye.